So here's Barbados Cherry. Called that because the fruit looked like a cherry. It can be trained as a tree, but it really is better off as a bush. It's very productive. From June to December, it can make a lot of fruit. They get to be bright red, much redder than this, and they smell good, they taste good, and they're high in vitamin C. Barbados cherry is something that we grow because we like it. It's really not a fruit that we've ever sold. It's a really nice snack fruit when you're out in the yard. Barbados cherry is native to the American tropics, including the West Indies, Central America, and parts of Mexico and South America. The fruit is also known as Acerola, West Indian cherry, Jamaican cherry, wild cherry, and many other names. In the 1880s, Pliny Reasoner, a South Florida nurseryman, introduced Barbados cherry to Florida from Cuba. In 1917, H.M. Curran brought seeds from Curacao to the USDA. For years, Barbados cherry was occasionally grown as a dooryard fruit in southern and central Florida. During World War II, seedlings were distributed for residential victory gardens and for planting in schoolyards to provide school children with a source of vitamins. After World War II, Barbados cherry became much more common and was even planted commercially. Its sudden popularity was a result of food analysis by the medical school of the University of Puerto Rico. In 1945, Puerto Rican researchers discovered that emblick, or Indian gooseberry, was very high in vitamin C. A lab assistant knew that locals used Barbados cherry, which is known as Acerola in Puerto Rico, for the treatment of colds. So he brought some fruit in for testing. Tests showed that Acerola was incredibly high in vitamin C. In fact, it has 4 to 7 times more vitamin C than Indian gooseberry. By 1954, Puerto Rico had about 30,000 trees in commercial groves. Florida and Hawaii also had significant commercial plantings. Enthusiasm for commercial applications for the fruit waned when it was discovered that natural vitamin C was metabolized in the same way as synthetic vitamin C. Barbados cherry is a large bush or small tree. Even though Barbados cherry can grow to 20 feet, typically it's 8 to 10 feet tall, but it can be kept as a small bush. If not trimmed, the plant can be as wide as it is tall. Mature leaves are medium to dark green and somewhat glossy. Flowers can be pink or lavender. Barbados cherry has a shallow root system, which is good for retaining soil but bad in strong winds. Air-layered and plants grown from cuttings are even more vulnerable to winds than plants grown from seed. Barbados cherry grows best in full sun and sandy soils, although it can grow in many types of soils as long as they are well drained. The plant cannot tolerate temperatures below 28 degrees. Because of the commercial popularity of Barbados cherry, a lot of attention was devoted to selecting superior varieties. Varieties were selected for taste, productivity, and vitamin C content. At first, groves were planted with seedlings of superior varieties. Since exact clones of superior varieties is optimal, people experimented with vegetative ways to produce new plants. Air layering or rooted cuttings became the standard methods to propagate Barbados cherry. In Florida, fruiting season is from May to November, depending on the weather. Fruits range from 1/2 inch to 1 inch and have 3 winged seeds per fruit. Size, sweetness, tartness, and flavor depend on the variety, the environment of the tree, and the level of ripeness of the fruit. In 1956, the University of Florida Agriculture and Research Center in Homestead selected Florida Sweet for its upright growth habit, large fruit, relatively thick skin, semi-sweet flavor, which is somewhat reminiscent of apples, and high yield. Also in the 1950s, Puerto Rico selected several varieties based on vitamin content, fruit size, and yield. B15 and B17 are the best known from this project. Florida Sweet, B15, and B17 are still commonly grown varieties today. Barbados Cherry is still used as a natural source of vitamin C. But most commonly, Barbados Cherry is eaten fresh, made into syrups, jellies, and juice, and added to baby foods. Fresh fruit is more perishable after washing. Vitamin C levels and color quickly deteriorate when stored, so fruit is usually frozen before being shipped to processing facilities. Even though vitamin C levels drop quickly when Barbados cherry juice is stored, wine made from Barbados cherry retains about 60% of its vitamin C content. So here are some Barbados cherries. They're, really a beautiful color and full of vitamin C. They have this really wonderful fruity smell. It's hard to describe it as anything other than smelling like Barbados cherries, but it's a pleasant smell. So anyway, just to show you what's inside a Barbados cherry and to get a little snack myself. So here's the inside of the fruit, and there's one seed missing, which is in my mouth right now. And I will try to show you from the top. Let me see if I can do like the little mouse bites or something so that you can see how the seeds are in the middle. Come to think of it, a knife would have been good, but yeah, we'll go for this right now. So far you can't see the seeds very much. They're winged seeds, which now I can show you from the one in my mouth. So that's what the seed looks like. And Barbados cherry will grow from seed, but it the fruit tends to be a little bit sour when the tree is young or the bush is young, but then it'll turn into a nice fruit. Also, it bears better if you start with an air-layered plant versus a seedling plant. So now that we know that these seeds are winged, you can see that there are 3 of them in there. Just see the points of 3. But everything else in the fruit is edible, the skin and the flesh, and you just spit out the seeds. It's a rather mild flavor. It's a little bit acid, so I would say it probably would taste like 10% like a northern cherry. It really doesn't have the heaviness of a northern cherry, but has just a little bit of that flavor, and then has sort of carambola flavor also in it. I mean, it's a mild, sweet, and acid, slightly acid fruit. I have never met anybody who didn't like it. Barbados cherry is commonly used for the treatment of coughs, sore throats, and colds. The fruit is also used to treat dysentery, simple diarrhea, and liver ailments. Nutrient analyses of Barbados cherry can vary a lot. For instance, green fruit are much higher in vitamin C than ripe fruit. Nutrient content of Barbados cherry depends on the variety, the level of ripeness, and the environment in which the fruit was grown. But Barbados cherry is a very nutritious fruit. In addition to being very high in vitamin C, Barbados cherry also contains vitamin A, B1, B2, B3, calcium, phosphorus, and iron. Barbados cherries also have antifungal and antibacterial properties.